Hi, my name is Fred Pidsadny, the founder and president of Focus Management, a firm that helps leaders get better at strategy execution, which is one of the most often published and quoted challenges for senior leaders. Over the last 30 years, we have worked in 39 different industry sectors with publicly and privately owned firms, as well as family owned and run companies. We have worked with large, mid-sized, and small firms, both here in Canada and the United States. Recently, I had the pleasure and privilege of interviewing Craig Gilpin and asked him to share with us his big aha moments during his leadership career. Craig has spent much of his career in the highly competitive Canadian retail grocery industry. From an executive position at AMP, now known as Metro, Craig moved to Sobeys as president of Ontario operations, overseeing more than 200 locations and 30,000 employees. Having achieved strong results in successive years, Craig's next journey took him to North America's second oldest retail enterprise, the Northwest Company, based in Winnipeg, Manitoba. As a chief operating officer, Craig was responsible for hundreds of retail locations under four major banners, mostly located in communities throughout northern Canada, Alaska, the Pacific Islands, and the Caribbean. These days, Craig has taken on a new challenge as president and CEO of Ironclad Developments, a builder focused on mid-rise, multi-unit residential structures. Ironclad is also based in Winnipeg. They have projects right across Canada. What follows is one of 5 short segments from the interview. In this segment, Craig outlines the important things that need to be done and done well, must have the full support and commitment of those responsible to make them happen. Buy-in achieved through a vigorous consensus-reaching process is one of Craig's keys to success. Here's what he has to say about getting buy-in.
There's a tool that I know that you believe in, and we use it a lot at Focus Management called consensus. And we have a very special definition of consensus, as you know, that says you need to have a lot of conversation, you need to challenge each other, but eventually you got to put your hand up and say, I'm in. Can you speak a little bit about how consensus has helped you build the clarity and commitment?
I know I also believe that, and consensus comes to this in management teams. When you sit down and you're discussing business and with your management team, everyone comes into that meeting an equal participant if they're on the management team, and so their views and their input is all equally valued, and they have to provide their advice in order for business to make the best possible decisions. But once you have decided and everyone has aired their views, and as a group you decide that you've reached consensus and no further dialogue is required, then it is a cabinet decision that once you leave a room, because the biggest damaging outcome of something like that is you leave the room and somebody dissents with their staff. It's like, well, we talked about it. My view wasn't considered, and we're going a different direction. Well, that just provides, it's a term Focus uses, organizational spin or wobble.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, you lose the efficiency of a company, and a company, ultimately there's usually one person or a couple people that have ultimate decision making authority when that's necessary. But it's much more valuable when you can achieve consensus and have everyone always viewed as being an important participant. It really does make 1 + 1 = 3 in that scenario, and everyone's opinion is valued. Um, I, I think some of the most valuable sessions that I've had are with employees, frontline workers, when their opinion is felt to be valued and heard.
Yes.
and then brought back up through the organization, and changes affected. I think that that's very, very powerful within a company when everyone's voice is heard. It's incredibly important. But consensus in the management boardroom is something that's very important. And those discussions that happen in a management setting, uh, people have to be passionate. They have to support their views, and passion is something that is great. And as long as it's always respectful, and that's important.